and welcome back to another video on the JJ Think Tank. Today I want to talk about psychopaths and how many psychopaths live among us. What impact do they have on our society? Is it true that the few control the many? It's an important question. It's a question we need to ask ourselves because I think that there definitely are a lot of psychopaths at the top of our society, yes? Those who are in charge of banks, perhaps, corporations, those in government. Definitely a number of them are psychopaths, I think. And this is a problem for all of us because these psychopaths, they just care about themselves, yes? They have no empathy, they have no remorse, they have no conscience, and they are reaping havoc in the modern world, yes? Now, obviously, this doesn't mean that I am against hierarchy. I think a hierarchy always arises naturally because some men are more competent, some women are more competent, other women are less competent, and therefore there are differences, yes, in the amount of income people earn, yes, and because of this, their social status, yes, is different. There are differences, but this doesn't mean that we shouldn't be allowed to criticize the hierarchy, the current hierarchy that is in place, and how society is currently organized. Yes, so I read this book recently, the Psychopath Test by John Ronson, and it's a great book really because as John Ronson goes on his journey into discovering the world of the psychopath, how psychopaths operate, he poses an interesting question at the end as to whether, in some ways, the psychopaths can also do some good. Yes, in their psychopathy, they actually change society in a positive sense as well. When we look back in hindsight, when events take place and once events transpire and once the aftermath is over, then perhaps you can make the argument that in their madness they have made some progress, yes, in our society. They have made an impact. But the problem is during this process they are destructive, yes. These psychopaths are destructive. So it's an interesting thesis and idea that John Ronson presents in this book, yes. And he shares a lot of information, other interesting tidbits that made me think, yes, about psychopathy and what impact they have, yes, on our society. So I want to go into my article now to unpack this further, to remind myself what I wrote down here, because I wrote this a few weeks ago now, and we'll see from there, yes, what happens. So I began my article with this quote by John Ronson, and this is what he wrote. I wondered if sometimes the difference between a psychopath in Broadmoor and a psychopath on Wall Street was the luck of being born into a stable, rich family. And I like this quote. It's a nice quote, yes, because perhaps sometimes, yes, the fact that someone is rich and the fact that a person has achieved success, it can mask their underlying psychopathy, yes, and obviously we have the obvious psychopath, the low-level, quote-unquote loser psychopath who who just goes around killing people and ends up in prison. And then this psychopath, this more sly psychopath, yes, on Wall Street, who has some talent, yes, but he causes havoc, yes, on a wider scale. His psychopathy actually affects more people because he affects the all of society, whereas the low-level psychopath who ends up in prison, of course, he damages the life of a family, but he doesn't affect all of society, yes. So it was an interesting thought. It made me think. Obviously, not all people who work on Wall Street are probably psychopaths. I mean, not all of them probably. A lot of people are just ambitious. They want to make money, and then they quit. Yes, they quit the corporate world and start living a different life. But there are definitely a lot of psychopaths in this finance industry, I think, and all these high-end positions. I think there are some psychopaths there. Yes. Obviously, we have the famous film, yes, American Psycho. This is a brilliant film, a classic film, with Christian Bale as the leading actor. Probably one of my favourite actors, Christian Bale, and we enter the world of the psychopath. Yes, this mad, crazy world of the psychopath. We should be happy that we are not like this. We should be happy we're not psychopaths. Obviously, we should feel sorry for the psychopath. Yes, that he completely lacks empathy, and it's in many cases. I'll go into this issue more as I go through the article. But in many cases, it's not actually the fault of the psychopath, of the person. He was just born this way. He went under some trauma, some abuse that he hasn't been able to resolve, and because of this, he turned into a proper, high level psychopath. Yes, there are such cases. Yes, so we need to also feel empathy for psychopaths, yes. And this goes into the nature-nurture debate, I guess. Is psychopathy a born trait? Are psychopaths born this way? Do they have something in their brain that causes them to become psychopaths? Or is it as a result of different life events, yes? So obviously here we can go on and on. But I don't want to talk too long. And I don't want to waste your time here. I want to keep this video rather short, so let's go into my article now. And I think more and more people, yes, they're coming to the realization that the people in charge of various banks, yes, corporations, governments, institutions, are most likely psychopaths. Yes, some of them, definitely some of them. So some of these psychopaths, they're less pronounced. They don't show their psychopathy in an obvious way. They're sly. They're very sly. But nevertheless, they are on the spectrum. Yes. And then we have these low-level psychopaths, serial killers, and those who engage in typical, criminal activity. Yes, and there was actually one. John Ronson talks about one woman actually, who, well, I don't know if he met her. Maybe I think John Ronson talks about her through another person. So another person met her, but he met this man who met this woman, and she was very meek. Yes, she was a nice girl. She was kind. Yes, but then she grew close to this professor, her professor of philosophy or economics or something, and she uncovered her true self, that she was a psychopath. but she was so meek. Yes. Like a little mouse, but she was a psychopath because she wanted to. I forgot exactly what she said, but she had some crazy plan to destroy something. Yes, to destroy a whole culture or something like this. I mean, maybe I wrote it down here in my article, but I don't think I did. No, I didn't. No, never mind. Yes, you get my point. Yes, there are these meek psychopaths as well. So sheep in wolf's clothing. Wolves in sheep's clothing. Yes. But anyway, moving on. So, this is another key thesis of John Ronson. So, returning to my point at the beginning, as he's going on this journey, John Ronson perhaps notices that he also has a bit of madness in him, a bit of eccentricity. And I think we're all like this. We all have a bit of madness in us, eccentricity. I think this is normal. This is part of being human, yes? And we shouldn't suppress these emotions. We shouldn't suppress these emotions of madness and eccentricity, I think. We just have to channel them in the right way, yes? We have to channel them, sublimate them into productive activity, yes? So this was an interesting thought of his. And I guess linked to this also, it brought to mind, the argument that God sometimes uses evil for the greater good. I mean, this is a theological issue, and I don't want to go into this now. But yes, this thought popped up into my mind as I was reading the book, and it's interesting. Yes. Now I'd like to share the little facts. Yes, the important facts. So, firstly, let's talk about neuroscience. So, I learned in this book that psychopaths, they operate on a level where the amygdala is not active at all. Yes, and the amygdala is responsible for processing fear and emotion. So, because it's inactive, this is why psychopaths they are so callous and unempathic. Yes, they just don't feel fear. Yes, they don't, and I guess because of this, they lack a conscience. Yes, and the physical manifestations of it via the activation of the limbic system. So obviously, in some people, the amygdala is totally impaired. In others, it's perhaps partially impaired due to trauma, because I think trauma does affect your amygdala. Yes, amygdala. So you can go through life events that affect your amygdala, and therefore perhaps your personality changes slightly because of this. Yes, but you can still obviously activate the amygdala by focusing on the limbic system. So the limbic system obviously is I think it's basically the legs, right? It's our body, the limbic system. What is the limbic system? Limbic system. I thought it was something to do with the limbs. Cell brain structures involved in on both sides of the thalamus. It's involved in other mammillary bodies. So, perhaps I was wrong. Limbic lobe. Okay, it's a part in the brain. It's a part. It's a brain structure. Yes, but I think I'm right in saying that the limbic system is also linked to the body. Yes, in some way, and by becoming more in tune with our body, we are more in tune with our limbic system. This is how I understand it. But maybe I'm wrong here. This is neuroscience, so I don't want to talk about neuroscience. But anyway, this is a key point, yes? So psychopaths, their amygdala is not active at all. And this is why they end up like this. Now, Ronson, he meets many different psychopaths along his journey. So he meets a typical, serial killer psychopath. And there's actually one psychopath that John Ronson meets, and eventually John Ronson comes to the conclusion that he's actually not a psychopath. I remember this is what he said. He changed his mind about him, and he noticed his humanity. Yes, but I really liked John's analysis of the stock market financial psychopath. Yes, on Wall Street. And he makes the argument that the latter, yes, they cause more damage because they ruin whole societies, and this is true. This inordinate power of finance it affects our society to a high degree. Credit crunch in 2008. all these financial crises in the past, they were caused by these financial gurus, yes, and these economists, and they definitely have a negative impact on our lives. So, so yeah, they are as I wrote down here, they are discrete, shadowy psychopaths. You know, these psychopaths, they're discrete, they're shadowy, they operate in the shadows. But paradoxically, they like the bright lights, yes, of New York, London, Los Angeles, and you know, these financial centers, they are based right in New York, London, Los Angeles as well. So Los Angeles is where you've got all this nasty prawn, yes, industry. It's evil prawn industry is based in Los Angeles, really. So better to avoid these cities, I think. I don't want to live in any of these cities, to be honest. I do feel this dark energy there, to be honest, and it's not pleasant. That's why I left. I cut, fam. I cut from that crusty city. But then this was really interesting for me because I was in this world of conspiracy. Yes, this was really relevant for me because I was trapped in this world of conspiracy and conspiracy theorists. Yes, I think some of these conspiracy theorists, but they're not psychopaths, but they have narcissistic traits. I'm coming to this conclusion because they start to reject all of reality. They start to reject all other people. They criticize everyone. They don't notice their own blind spots. They just have a really distorted worldview. Yes, they think they know everything in advance. They think they know what will happen to a T. Yes, but it's not like this. No, life is unpredictable. Life is chaotic. You don't know what will happen. Yes. So and this is what John Ronson notices. But I mean, here I disagree with him. I don't think conspiracy theorists are psychopaths. Maybe they're mad. They're a bit mad, and they're a bit maybe narcissistic. But I don't think they're psychopaths. Yes. So, for example, he talks about David Icke in this book. He mentions David Icke that he does agree with him to a degree, but then that he notices in some of these conspiracy theorists that they're a bit deluded. Yes. He mentions another guy. I forgot his name now, who also said that he's Jesus. He's the Son of God. And this is delusion, yes? This is delusion. This is a key sign of delusion. And yes, these conspiracy theorists, they start to denigrate the events that other people have gone through. Yes, they don't have empathy. They don't sensitive. Yes. There's a case of a woman. Yes, so she was a victim of a 7/7 bombing in London. And John Ronson, he shares her struggle with these online conspiracy theorists because she shared her story about what happened, but then these online conspiracy theorists, they just completely distort what she said. They say she's lying, that she's a government agent or something, that she's a psyop, a covert psyop. Oh, this is what I wrote here, and this is kind of narcissistic behavior, isn't it? It's taking conspiracy theory too far, yes? And this is my point. I've made this point in other videos that, yes, some conspiracies turn out to be true. I agree, but then these conspiracy theorists, because they can't think. There's something wrong with them. They're not clear in their thinking, and they engage in this excessive paranoiac conspirological thinking, which completely negates the experiences and pain of the other. So we have to acknowledge that this is at the very least narcissistic, yes, because they're trying to confirm their worldview all the time, but they're wrong. Their worldview is wrong, yes. So they need to just accept this, yes, and start to think more again. They need to reorganize their thinking. So now I've nearly finished. One more point I want to make, and And this is about, yes, so I'm kind of returning to the beginning, to what I said at the beginning. I think I alluded to this. And it's about how sometimes when we overdiagnose and label people, this can also be harmful. And we don't know what effect this will have in the future. So when we think of children, a lot of children, because they're so crazy, because they're human, yes, well, they're human. It's good, they're crazy, they're you know, they have emotions, yes? And we automatically put them into a box that there's something wrong with them, ADHD or something, yes? And then by overdiagnosing them, we force them to take different drugs, and we don't know what effect this will have in the future. We don't know whether all of these health treatments will be ultimately good for them or bad for them, yes? And this is where I definitely agree again with Ron Johnson. I talked about this in another video. About how, you know, psychiatry, it's a profession that needs to be kept in check. Because some of these psychiatrists, they actually do more harm than good by overlabeling, overdiagnosing, kind of not allowing human emotions to appear, and psychiatry, it's a profession that needs to be regulated, definitely. And yeah, well, to end my video, I guess we're all a bit mad. Yes, we all have our eccentric side, I think. Many people are more comfortable showing it. Other people, perhaps, they only reveal themselves when they are alone. You know. So, and this is how John Ronson John Ronson, yes, that's it. This is how he ends his book. Yes, Ron Johnson, John Ronson, John Ronson. This is how he ends his book. So he says, if he kind of questions his own moral and ethical superiority, and I guess this boils down to what Jesus said. We are all sinners. Yes, you recognize a sin in the other, but also recognize your own sin. And this is a healthy process. If you once you recognize that you are a sinner as well, you improve your life, yes. And I ended my article with this quote. Yes, I've always believed society to be a fundamentally rational thing, but what if it isn't? What if it is built on insanity? And you can make this argument, yes, that real progress comes from these madmen. These madmen, yes? They can be mad, like in an obvious sense. So obviously Hitler was a bit mad, wasn't he? I mean, this is controversial, yes? Hitler was... he was a bit mad. I mean, personally, no. Hitler, for me, Hitler was ultimately a person who did more damage. Yes, he wasn't a good man. But then we have Napoleon. Yes, he must have been a bit mad. Yes, to achieve what he did, he must have been a bit mad. I'm sure we can think of other famous people. Yes, but then we have just the normal madness. Yes, these the artists. Yes, creative types. They're mad. Yes. But in a good sense. So they end up creating beautiful music through their madness, beautiful art, etc. So yes, I mean, it makes us think, doesn't it? So this is a great book. I recommend it. It's a great book by John Ronson, The Psychopath Test: A Journey Through the Madness Industry. And it's the end of my video. If you made it this far, if you're still listening, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you spending your time here on the JJ Think Tank. If you like the video, consider liking and subscribing. It'll help me grow the channel and spread more vital information. I think will help a lot. Will help individual people and help solve issues in our culture and society. If you like the video even more, consider donating at Buy Me a Coffee. I'll provide a link in the description. And that's all for today. Once again, thank you for listening and take care.